Hey, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I'm going to give all glory, all honor, all praise to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, to the hopeful elect of Israel, and to all of the brothers and sisters, young men, young women, children, that are trying to keep the commandments of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai in spirit and in truth. Shalom to you. This is your brother Shamashawan coming back with another lesson. This lesson is called the circumcision of the heart, because Yahweh Shai brought a new way, right? So Yahweh commands us to be circumcised of the heart now, not of the flesh, okay? A lot of camps teach that in order for a brother to partake of the body of Yahweh Shai, which is the Passover meal, that they have to be physically circumcised. That is completely incorrect in these times. Okay, even myself, I was at error too, with that misunderstanding in terms of encouraging brothers not to take of the body of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, the Passover lamb, right? Because they weren't physically circumcised. Okay. I've repented from that era, and we're going to see through the precepts that in this day, that's not required in terms of having a physical circumcision. Okay, it's not required. Now we know the letter of the law states that we, our males, must be circumcised. That's the letter of the law. However, Yahweh Shai brought grace and faith to us, okay? And I'm not implying to say that if a brother or if Yahweh puts that spirit in a brother to be circumcised, he can't do that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this, is that if Yahweh puts that spirit in a brother to be circumcised, he can't put that physical circumcision in his flesh before Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's the implication there. Okay, let's get that. Let's get right into the lesson. Okay, this is Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, "Now Yahweh had said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing." 3, it says, "And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." All right. So we're going to see something here. When Yahweh came and got Abram here, Abram was not physically circumcised. He was not physically circumcised. What Abraham was, right? He had a circumcision of the heart because he had faith. Okay, Abraham was already circumcised in his heart. Okay, because he had faith. Okay, in Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Let's get it. Let's go to Romans chapter 4. Romans chapter 4. Okay, let's get that. It's about faith, not the letter. And we're going to see later in the lesson that if we resort back to the letter killeth. We can't revert back to the letter again, okay? Because if you revert back to the letter, all those sins are held against you, okay? And also, even if you haven't been water baptized in the name of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, you're still weighed down by your sins. But that's another lesson, right? This is Romans chapter 4, right? And verse 8. It says, "Blessed is the man to whom Yahweh will not impute sin. Cometh this blessedness then upon the circumcision only, or upon the uncircumcision also? For we say that faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness." See that? We see that Abraham had faith, and he was already circumcised in his heart, spiritually circumcised already. Okay, 10, it says, "How was it then reckoned?" Was he when he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. Right, exactly. So, as we mentioned, Abraham was uncircumcised, physically uncircumcised, before Yahweh came and got him, right? And he had the faith, Abraham did. 11, it says, and he received the sign of circumcision, right? A seal of righteousness of the faith which he had yet being uncircumcised. See that? Okay, he had the faith already, that he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that righteousness might be imputed unto them also. So we see that Abraham was circumcised in the heart already. He was already circumcised, right? 12, it says, and the father of circumcision to them who are not of the circumcision only, but who also walk in the steps of that faith of our father Abraham, which he had being yet uncircumcised. So we see that that Abraham had faith, okay? And faith actually is a commandment. You have to have that, okay? Let's get it. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 11 and get that. Faith is a commandment. You have to have faith, okay? And Yahweh Shah. Let's get it. This is Hebrews 11. It says, but without faith it is impossible to please him. See that? For he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. 8. It says, by faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. So we see that we have to have faith, okay? And so the stumbling block is our forefathers always relied on the physical aspect of everything, okay, or the letter of the law, right? They thought that their circumcision would justify their bad behavior. Not so, okay? But let's see when Yahweh begins the actual circumcision, when he commands Abraham. Let's go to Genesis chapter 17 and verse 9. It says, and Yahweh said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generation. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. There it is. That's a command right there, right? The letter of the law. That's the letter, right? 11, it says, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin. Okay? It shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. Every man child in your generations, he that is born in thy house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. 13. It says, he that is born in thy house and he that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. All right. So this is the letter of the law that our forefathers stumbled on. Okay, because Yahweh knew that they weren't going to keep this, right? In terms of them being obedient to Him and His commandments, because they always relied on the flesh, on the fleshly aspect. Remember, Yahweh is spiritual. Okay. Right? So Yahweh knew this. Okay? So this is what he did, right? Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 10 and 15. Yahweh knew that our forefathers, and even today, the modern day Pharisees would always rely on the physical aspect of our culture, okay, to justify their errors. No, you can't do that, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10 and 15. Yahweh knew this already. Right? It says, only Yahweh had a delight in thy fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you, above all people as it is this day. Sidebar. Esau teaches that everybody is the same. That is a complete and utter lie. Okay? Israel was supposed to be the better of all people. Okay? Right? Above all nations above the earth. Okay, back to the lesson. 16, it says, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. All right? So Yahweh knew this way back then. This is in the law here, right? So this is also like a forerunner for Yahushua, because remember, everything is based on Yahushua. So, it's a spiritual thing. We're looking at the spiritual aspect here of our culture. That's why Yahweh told them here in the law to circumcise the foreskin of their hearts. Okay? Right? Let's get some more. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy 30 from the top. It says, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither Yahweh thy power has driven thee, and shall return unto Yahweh thy power, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Look at that. 3, it says that then Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy power has scattered thee. Look at that. It says, if any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from this will Yahweh thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. Okay? See that? Let's go jump down to verse 6. It says, and Yahweh thy power will circumcise their heart. See that? And Yahweh thy power will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live it. So this is exactly what's required of us today, right? And if we do this, look at 7, right? 7, it says, and Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecute thee. So once we conform and come back to Yahweh in spirit and in truth, right, Yahweh's going to put all those curses and all those calamities, you know what I'm saying, that we are experiencing on our enemies, the heathens. Okay? Let's get some more. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus 26 and verse 41. Let's get it. It says, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of the enemies. We just read that. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled. See that? And they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember. And I will remember the land. Yes, this is what it is, right? So we have to circumcise our hearts, not the flesh. Okay? All right? Let's get Jeremiah chapter 4. Jeremiah 4. This is what Yahweh requires of us, the circumcision of the heart. Okay? And again, we're not implying that you can't get circumcised. We're not talking about that. No, we're not. What we're implying is, if Yahweh put it in your heart, brothers, to be circumcised, you can't put that physical circumcision before Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. God? All right. This is Jeremiah chapter 4 and verse 4. It says, circumcise yourselves to Yahweh and take away the foreskin of your heart, ye men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn, that none can quench it, because of the evils of your doings. Let's jump down to verse 14. It says, O Jerusalem, wash thine heart from wickedness. This is actually talking about the water baptism here, right? Because this is all spiritual, right? The water baptism remits your sins. It's a spiritual aspect of Yahweh's counsel. Yes, right? Let's get it again. O Jerusalem, wash thine heart from wickedness. How can you wash your heart? Right? You can't physically wash your heart, right? You have to be water baptized in the name of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, okay, to remit your sins. Then you move forward, okay? Again, it says, O Jerusalem, wash thine heart from wickedness, that thou mayest be saved. See that? How long shall thy vain thoughts lodge within thee? So this is exactly what it is, okay? This is exactly what it is. Now, let's go to Galatians chapter 5, because Paul is giving us a lot of insight, all right? But we have to understand this with our spiritual mind, not the fleshly mind, but Paul is trying to convey here, right? This is Galatians chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Yahweh Shah HaMashiach have made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Right? It says, behold, I Paul say unto you, that if ye be circumcised, Yahweh shall profit you nothing. What Paul is saying here, if you're putting that physical circumcision before Yahweh Shai, it is not benefiting you at all, because you're reverting back to the law, right? And we're going to read that the law killeth, okay? Right? 5, it says, for I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Yes, because you don't have faith in Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Right? Okay, let's get that. Okay? Let's get how the law killeth. Right? And then if Yahweh say the same, we'll come back and we'll clean this up. Okay, let's go to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 2. It says, ye are our epistle written in our hearts, known and read of all men, forasmuch as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living power, not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart. See that? 4, it says, and such trust have we through Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, Godward, right? It says, not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything as of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of Yahweh, who also have made us able ministers of the New Testament. See that? Not of the letter, but of the Spirit. That's what Paul is talking about in Galatians 5, right? It says, for the letter killeth. There it is. But the Spirit giveth life. That's exactly what it's talking about, right? So let's go back to that Galatians 5. That's what Paul was talking about in Galatians 5. If you put your physical circumcision before Yahweh Shai, you dead. Okay? Right? Let's go back, right? Galatians chapter 5 and verse 3, it says, "For I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law." Look at that. Okay? All right? 4, it says, "Yahushua is become of no effect to you." Right? Because you're relying on that flesh. Okay? And not the spirit. "Whosoever of you are justified by the law, ye are fallen from grace." Look at that. It says, "For we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. For in Yahushua HaMashiach neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but faith which worketh by love." That's exactly what it is. 7, it says, "Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth?" Right? That's exactly what it is. Okay? Let's get Galatians chapter 6. "But to live by faith, Israel, and not by sight." Israel always wants a sign. Boy, I tell you, if you can't touch it, ain't nothing happening. Okay, with Israel. Okay. Let's get Galatians chapter 6 and verse 12. Galatians 6 and 12. It says, "As many as desire to make a fair show in the flesh." See that? Look at that. Look at that. Stumbling blocks. Modern day Pharisees and Sadducees that are on this earth today. Solomon always tells us there is nothing new under the sun. Look at this. It says, "They constrain you to be circumcised, only lest they should suffer persecution for the cross of Yahushua HaMashiach. For neither they themselves who are circumcised keep the law." Look at that. "But desire to have you circumcised, that they may glory in your flesh." This is exactly right. Oh man, I had him circumcised and I had him circumcised. Oh yeah, but ain't keeping no parts of the law. Right? All the poignant points. All right? Okay? So let's go to Acts chapter 16, and we're going to get an instance here. Acts 16 and 1. All right? So here, in this instance, we had the Jews residing here. Right? And so the Jews, right, they knew all the different aspects, of when people were born, when the boys were born, right? When people were born, they kept the history and all of that stuff, so they knew this stuff. But watch this though. It says, Acts 16:1. It says, "Then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman which was a Jewess, and believed." Look at that. "But his father was a Greek." His father wasn't an actual Greek, right? His ideology, he had a Greek ideology, right? Greek culture, because, that's the way he was raised. He thought that he was Greek, right? Just like here, we thought, that we were Mexicans, and we thought, that we were Jamaicans, and we thought that we were Africans, not knowing that we are in fact, the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, that's what that is. Okay, so it says, which was well reported. See that they knew what was happening by the brethren that were at Lystra and Iconium. Him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised him because of the Jews. See it? Which were in these quarters, for they knew all that his father was a Greek. Exactly. So the reason why Paul did this here, the reason why Paul physically circumcised this brother, is because Paul didn't want any physical altercations. Paul he applied wisdom here. He said, listen, he instructed the brother Timothy. He says, listen, I'm going to I'm going to circumcise you. I'm going to physically circumcise you. Okay. However, do not, I repeat, do not put that physical circumcision that you're going to get before Yahushua HaMashiach. Do not do that, because you're going to revert right back to the letter, and you're going to be dead. So that's the understanding there. Okay, let's get another instance. Right, let's go to Acts chapter 15. Here's another instance, right? With Paul, right? It says, and certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren. We know that these are the stumbling blocks. We already know that these are the Pharisees and Sadducees. We already know, right? They came down from Judea, because remember, the Pharisees and Sadducees, they resided in Jerusalem, okay? And said, look at this, except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved. Oh my goodness. When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the disciples, should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question. And being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Pennis and Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles. Those Gentiles who thought that they were Greeks, who thought that they were Mexicans, who thought that they were Africans, right? Okay? And they caused great joy to all the brethren, because they said, hey, listen, man, you're not that, you are Israel, okay? The seed of Abraham, yes. And those promises belong to you, okay? For it says, and when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and of the apostles and elders, and they declared all things that Yahweh had done with them. But there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees, see, here we go, stumbling blocks, which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them. No, it's not physically, but they have to be circumcised in the heart. Now that's required, right? And to command them to keep the law of Moses. Remember, we read earlier, the law killeth. You can't resort back to the law. You dead, okay? Because you don't have faith in Yahushua HaMashiach, right? Yahushua is the way, right? It says, 6, it says, and the apostles and elders came together for to consider of this matter. And when there had been much disputing, Peter rose up and said unto them, men and brethren, ye know how that a good while ago Yahweh made choice among us, that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel which Yahweh brought, and believe. And Yahweh, which knoweth the hearts, bear them witness, giving them the Holy Ghost, even as he did unto us. Look at that. It says, and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. Okay, 10. It says, now therefore why tempt ye Yahweh to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear. We weren't able to bear the latter. Okay? That's why we're in this captivity now, and all these different captivities all over the heaven. Okay? Because we didn't comply, and keep the commandments of Yahweh Ba'asham and Yahweh Shai. Okay? Alright? Okie dokie. Alright, let's get some more. Let's get Titus chapter 1. You are not, brothers, you don't have to be physically circumcised. You do not. However, if Yahweh puts that spirit in you to get the physical circumcision, that is fine. But you cannot put that before Yahweh Shai. That's exactly what that's talking about. Let's get Timothy chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, holding fast the faithful word as he hath been taught, that he might be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince the gainsayers. See that? It says, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, the Pharisees, right, and Sadducees, especially they of the circumcision. Look at that. Okay? Remember, the Pharisees and Sadducees were defined as the circumcision. Okay? Right. Okay? 11, it says, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. This is exactly what's going on today in Israel. Okay? All right? Let's get another instance here. Let's go to Galatians chapter 2. We're going to see another instance here with Titus. We're going to see another instance with Titus. Right? Let's go to Galatians chapter 2 and 1. It says, then 14 years after I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and took Titus with me also. And I went up by revelation and communicated unto them that gospel which I preach among the Gentiles, but privately to them which were of reputation. Look at that. Look at that. It says, lest by any means I should run, or had run in vain. Look at 3. It says, but neither Titus, who was with me being a Greek, was impelled to be circumcised. He wasn't forced to be circumcised. Let's see what the word impelled means. All right, let's get that. Okay, it's going to be Slakia. Let's get that. It's going to be G 3:15. Compelled. Titus was not compelled to be circumcised. Why? Because he didn't have to. That's why. Here it is here. Okay. Here it is.
Strong's G 3:15 on a console.
Okay, so now when you go down to the outline of biblical usage, it says to necessitate, compel, drive to, right? Constrain, by force. Okay, threats. That's what that means. So let's go back to Galatians and implement that word in there. Force for the word compelled. Galatians 2 and 3 says, but neither Titus, who was with me being a Greek, was forced, compelled to be circumcised. See that? All right. 4 says, and that because of false brethren, unawares, brought in, who came in privately to spy out our liberty, which we have in Yahushua HaMashiach, that they might bring us into bondage again. Exactly, saying you gotta stick to the letter. That is what that is talking about. Okay, let's get Philippians chapter 3. Philippians 3 and 2. It says, beware of dogs. This is talking about, those stumbling blocks, these Pharisees and modern day Pharisees. It says, beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision, right? For we are the circumcision, which worship Yahweh in the spirit, and rejoice in Yahushua HaMashiach, and have no confidence in the flesh. Yes, we have confidence in Yahushua HaMashiach. That is where our faith lies. Okay, let's get Romans chapter 2. Let's get Romans chapter 2 and 25. Romans 2 and 25 on this wise. It says, for circumcision varieth, for circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcised, or uncircumcision, right? Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? Yes. And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision doeth transgress the law? It says, for he is not a Jew which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outwardly in the flesh. Right? But he is a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter. Right? Whose praise is not of man, but of Yahweh. Come on, Israel. Okay? You can't suffer these brothers to not partake of the Passover if they are not physically circumcised. That is a stumbling block, right? Let's go to Colossians. Let's go to Colossians here, chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of man, after the rudiments of the world, and not in Yahushua HaMashiach. 9, it says, for in him, Yahushua HaMashiach, dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Oh yes. 10, it says, and ye are complete in him. Yes. We are complete in Yahushua HaMashiach, including the water baptism in his name to remit the sins that we've been carrying, right? Which is the head of all principality and power, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, in putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Yahushua HaMashiach. Look at that there. Look at that there. Buried with him in baptism. There it is right there. The water baptism, right? The physical act of being submerged in that water, H2O, right? In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of Yahweh, who have raised him from the dead, right? And ye, being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, have he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses. See that? Blotting out the handwritings of ordinances that was against us. That's the law. That is the law, right? The written law, the Moses law, right? Which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross, okay? And having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it, okay? So we see through the scriptures, right, through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, that we don't have to be males, we don't have to be physically circumcised. However, if Yahweh puts that spirit in you to be physically circumcised, that is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. However, you can't put that physical circumcision before Yahweh Shai. God? Okay, so I hope that this lesson was edifying to you. Once again, I'm going to give all honor, all glory, all praise to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.